You see that big lad right there? Yep, that's me. Wondering how the fuck I got here. That dude I'm interviewing just finished boxing in the biggest event in internet history. But you already knew that, right? I suppose this all started, like many stories do, with a woman. No, not that kind of woman. My grandmother. It was the late 90s and I was sat in her front room watching my team, Newcastle, lose its second cup final in a row. I knew I was never going to make it as a footballer, so I would just sit there, talk over everything that happened as if I knew it all anyway. Some things never change. I think everyone in the family was getting sick of it, to be honest with you. And one day, Grandma just turned around and said, if you know so much, why don't you go and become a commentator? And I thought, I might just do that, Nana. I might just do that. But your childhood becomes your teens, and your teens wear you down. And next thing you know, you're in high school with a face full of spots trying to cover up your hard-on with a long coat. Fuck, it was hard. Me teens, that is. And then everyone tries to put pressure on you to get a proper job or a career. Next thing you know, you're in a fucking guidance counsellor's room wondering what the fuck you're going to do with yourself. Well, I decided to get an apprenticeship. Buick Engineering. I only lasted 2 years. There was a fella there who looked like Buddy Holly. As he is now, though, not in his prime. Still lived at home with his mother, 55 years old. Definitely still a virgin. I just didn't want to grow up to be that guy. So I went back to college while I tried to work out what the fuck I wanted to do with my life. Studied English, sociology, psychology. My English teacher was mental. He was a journalist for a Newcastle football fanzine. Said I'd never amount to anything. Probably knows who I am now. At that point, I was more lost than I'd ever been. All my mates who I started the apprenticeships with were all sticking in at theirs and now finally reaping the benefits and getting money. And I still had fuck all. And then I seen this video on YouTube and I thought, I could be a YouTuber, but probably no money in it. But the video was of a deep sea diver and I knew there was money in that. Yep, I've actually managed to fit that into another video. Amazing. So you go to the training centre, get in the water, realise you don't know what the fuck you're doing, learn how to be a diver, get a job, get in the water, realise you don't know what the fuck you're doing, get better, work more, get money. Get more money than you've ever seen in your entire life. Go home, go out. Drinks for all. Get girls. More girls than you've ever had in your entire life. Spend money. All the money. Back to work. Dive back down, come back up. Dive back down, come back up. Dive back down, come back up. Death in the family. Everything stops. Alcohol. Lots and lots and lots of alcohol. Then my friend died, who was a bigger Newcastle fan than I've ever been. Depressed, sad, sick of it. And then a Newcastle player, who didn't really mean much to the club, had a pop at the fans. And after George's funeral, I wasn't having that. Fires the laptop up and let him know exactly what I thought of him. Right, a message to Nile Ranger here. I know people who fucking died who would love to have been in your position. You're a fucking disgrace, Nile Ranger. You are a fucking disgrace. 20,000 views and 1 hour later, just decided to delete the video. You know, I don't want that kind of attention. I don't want to be the crazy football fan. I like going to the shops without anyone talking to me. So, deleted it. Then I had a phone call of one of the divers who said I was speaking what everyone else was thinking and it had to be re-uploaded. I thought, fuck it, go on then. And then came more videos. Lots more videos. But then I seen Joe Weller and KSI and realised my videos were shit. But Spencer had asked us to commentate on the Wembley Cup. And I thought, wow, I've finally made it. A commentator at Wembley.
They're through. It's on the right-hand side. He's going to cut it over the top. Oh, what a finish, my son!
That was the first big sporting event YouTubers had ever done, and I loved commentating it. After the match, KSI tweeted out that he thought I'd killed it on commentary, and after watching and admiring his videos for a while now, that meant a lot. Like, I'm thinking, if he believes that, then maybe I can be good at this. So after a year of more videos, I did the Wembley Cup again, and this time I had a fancy suit. I really felt like I belonged at that point. And as I've been watching Joe Rogan for a few years, I decided it was time to start a podcast. So I managed to get a few of my new mates of YouTube on the podcast because, you know, you got to get the numbers up. Joe Weller came on and he told us how KSI had helped make his career.
God, that is literally the birth of my opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is where it all began. So like, obviously I could not be more grateful.
KSI came on and told us how Joe Weller was the realest person on YouTube.
Joe Weller is pretty much the same. Like
he's an introspective guy, though.
He is the most on the realest person, I think.
Yeah.
It's weird how that was all about a change. So Joe decided that he was going to do a little boxing video with his mate Theo, and you know, he'd done music videos, he'd done wrestling videos. It was just another video. He asked me to commentate. I'm holding an iPhone up to my mouth while watching the footage of him and his mate in a gym punching lumps out of each other with zero boxing training. He uploads it. KSI leaves a comment on his Instagram saying, "I've got the winner." And it wasn't a serious comment, but it got very serious very quickly.
At the end of the day,
Prick. You need drugs?
drugs.
Do you need drugs to
No.
stay sane, bro?
What, antidepressants?
Yeah.
What, you're taking a piss out of depression?
I'm not taking the
Well, that's
I'm not
exactly
taking
what
the
you're doing.
piss.
Imagine 8,000 people seeing your head absolutely crushed onto
there's
the
no way,
canvas,
there's no
and
way.
Weller lift his hands up.
And before I know it, KSI's throwing a security guard across the stage while I'm holding out to Joe Weller for dear life. It made for a hell of a picture though. So I went home to get ready to commentate on the fight between the two boys, and then an American YouTuber by the name of Logan Paul would upload a video that would impact a lot of people, including me. And what happened in that video brought back some dark memories for me, and I had to say something. Never thought I'd be saying this on a video, but the kid has went into a forest in Japan because it's known for suicides. Finds a fucking dead body. The little fucker films everything, films the dead body. You fucking sick little fucking freak. It's sad when someone feels like there's no other option, or that's the best possible option, is death, you know. At that moment, I thought, I'll never ever meet this guy, but at least I've said what he needs to hear. Then it was time to interview Joe and JJ before their big fight. When I interviewed Joe, he was saying all the right things, but I wasn't sure whether I fully believed that he could win the fight. And if it was that because he was saying all the right things? Or was that just because I'm closer to him and I don't want him to lose? One thing's for sure, when I interviewed JJ, I knew he fully believed he was going to win this fight. So much so, he even told me to remind him to call out the Logan Paul guy I just made the video on after the fight. And after how angry I was at that guy, I wasn't going to let JJ forget that. Then we got to the fight, and even the way these guys walked to the ring was like their interviews. Joe's was kind of confident but understated and not overly confident, whereas JJ's was just pure, I am gonna win this, not a doubt in my mind. When the first bell went, Joe wasn't even throwing punches, and I knew with his confidence being where it was, he needed a good start, and that was not happening. I got to the point where I even pulled the microphone away from my mouth to shout at him, you need to start throwing punches. It didn't work. I really struggled to commentate that fight. This was not like the Wembley Cup. This was watching one of your good friends take a beating in the ring and having to sound impartial while telling people what's happening and wincing every time your mate gets punched in the face. I didn't do a good job. I'm not used to being in front of that many people, and I was a bit nervous even after the 4 glasses of wine. But I did remember that there was one thing I needed to do.
You said before this fight you had something planned. Is there anything you want to say to someone out there? You said you wanted to call someone out.
Jake Paul, Logan Paul, any of the Pauls, I don't care. Bring it.
I never thought they'd accept JJ's invitation, but I'd done my part. So Logan responds, and he's clearly irate that someone's called him out, because he is known as this guy who will never back down to a challenge, is the main man in America, and he's annoyed at me because not only did I make the first video smashing what he did in the suicide forest, I then also reminded JJ to call him out. So he called me the white DJ Khaled.
JJ, I hope you're writing that white DJ Khaled a thank you letter, because you owe him one, bro.
Cheeky fucking bastard. I mean, like, there's a beard and a shaven head, but that's where the similarities begin and end. I'm a good foot taller than this guy, and, you know, I make better music than him as well, I reckon. Anyway, the beef has ignited, and the road to KSI versus Logan Paul begins. So before the fight, they do the first press conference in LA, where Logan and his brother Jake had clearly put some money into this, and they'd wanted to level this shit up. And instead of me, they had a former heavyweight champion of the world.
One more time, are you ready to turn up?
I just felt like the whole thing had left me behind, despite my original involvement. Like, I was a nobody now, you know. This is where it ends for me. What was clear about that press conference was that JJ was no longer the big brother in the beef. Like, Logan was very much his equal, and the two egos that were colliding were on a par with one another. The world made a meme out of it. It went huge. It did what it was supposed to do. everyone now knew these guys were fighting. So to my surprise, they asked me to do the London press conference after I thought I was completely out the picture. I definitely fucked it with what I said about Logan in the past. I'm gonna do it. I'm actually gonna get to do my dream job again. Maybe Logan isn't that bad. Maybe he's forgiven me for it. Maybe not. When I seen him, he definitely knew who the fuck I was. And I knew I was going to have to go out there and ask this guy questions and get something out of him. So I just looked at him, sort of winked and said, let's have a good show. So I walks out on stage and I quickly realised that that crowd is so loud I can't hear myself think. Like, I've never experienced anything like that in my entire life. But not to worry. Once they hear me on the microphone, they'll quieten down. The problem is, the microphone's on a podium that's about 3 foot from the ground and there's no chair in front of it. So I'm stood up with a microphone about 3.5 foot away from my face. Nobody can hear me talk. That's a problem. I managed to get my hands on a microphone and get a running order when I'm on stage. Problem is, that running order is in the wrong order, and people aren't aware of the right order. Another problem. I managed to get to the co-main event, which was Deji and Jake, the brothers of the main event. And yeah, Jake just didn't seem to give a fuck about the fans screaming. I kind of appreciated that for a minute, but quickly realised that it didn't matter what I was thinking because nobody was listening to me anyway. Yeah, Deji was shouting boring a lot over when I was trying to talk. You know, on Bruce Almighty, when he sort of leans back and closes his eyes and then an asteroid hits the earth? I was kind of hoping I could do that right at that second. JJ comes on stage and he goes in on Logan, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm kind of enjoying this, but equally I didn't revise for this for hours on end to not ask any questions. At some point I need to step in. Then again, Logan was a dick in the past, and yeah, I might just let this go a little while longer. Definitely let that go a little too long. Definitely. Before I know it, Logan's jacked it in and is walking off the stage, and I've lost control completely. Fucked it. So now I'm thinking, how the fuck can I make this work out in my favour? Because that was a shit show. And I thought, well, how about I just do a video explaining what was going through my head the entire time so that the audience can at least empathise of where I'm coming from, and also bang KSI and Logan in the title. I mean, that's not going to do me channel any harm, is it? Now, in that video, I definitely tried to psychoanalyse Logan, especially after he'd walked off stage. I wanted to A, come up with an answer for that, and B, hope that I poked his ego just enough that he might respond to me. And he did.
Why did the moderator let JJ talk for 5 minutes and 20 seconds straight? Yes, I timed it. And why are we not talking about the fight? And then I remembered, holy asshat, this dude fucking hates me.
Ding, 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 ding. Cashback. I've never been happier for anyone to say shit about me in a video in my life than when that video came out. Everyone's texting me, Logan Paul just went in on you, as if I should be devastated. I'm ringing Lawrence up, I'm ringing all the boys. Lads, we've done it. Got the 1 million subscriber plaque. We were there, we've made it. We did it. It was red panty night. Do you know what I mean? It really was at that point. So I rings Elliot up. I'm like, mate, come over. We got some work to do. By the time he'd made up the 10-minute taxi ride to my house, I'd written a few bullet points, ready to roll, another beer open. It's time to go in on Logan Paul. How am I supposed to forgive Logan for what he did when he can't forgive me for having a problem with what he did? Who's the fucking hypocrite? I didn't just want to do what all YouTubers do, which is paint themselves out to be innocent and the other person to be evil. Like, I wanted to accept where I'd gone wrong, but disprove where I felt like he'd gone wrong. And then in that video, I decided, like, right there and then, I'm going to say something that I've never said on YouTube before. That I found someone the way Logan found someone, so that he would know, only him, that's only for his benefit. I'm not outraged in that original video for the sake of being outraged for views like a lot of YouTubers do. I'm outraged and hurt for real reasons. And if I do that and then leave the door open in that video for him and give him a second chance, that maybe he might take that and we might be able to settle this and even be cool in the future. I wasn't holding out too much hope, but I left it at that anyway.
It's unfortunate that that's how we have to get information across to each other. That's why I just wanted to call you and let you know where I was coming from and how I feel.
Shockingly, Logan called, we squashed it, and then I was hosting the fight. It's weird being on a call with someone who you've publicly smashed. And what's even weirder is being cool with them and all of a sudden realizing, actually, I could chat to this guy. He's a dude who loves sports the same way I do. He's a cocky guy who loves himself the same way I do. Like, the difference is he's just had a lot of millions of people reaffirm that belief in himself, and at some point that took over for him. I could tell on the phone he was making his way back to being a grounded, level-headed guy, and part of that was ringing me up man to man, and I respected that. And after that call, I was back calling the fight. So just like the last fight, I decided I wanted to do a podcast with both fighters before they fought, so I could release it the week of the fight. When it come to the podcast with Logan, I did think to myself, like, potentially I could just be like, fuck him, like, I've made my name off the back of having a pop at this guy now, like, I don't need to give him the olive branch. I know I could help his image. I know for a fact that a podcast with me and the way I could look after him and bring the answers out of him the best way possible, I could help rebuild his image. I could have just said fuck him. Why help him? Do you know what I mean? He's done what he's done now. But I kind of felt like, because he'd rang me up and showed to me that there was a good person in there somewhere, that he was worth the effort. I've been working for months on becoming a good podcaster, and now the pressure is really on. And I'd seen how other people had scrutinized him and reduced him to a target, and I thought, well, if I do the same thing, they're going to get the same results. And the previous results on other interviews were poor. Like, he's a 23-year-old guy. When you attack him, he shuts down. You know what I mean? He doesn't give you good answers. He just goes into defense mode. So me doing the same thing as everyone else was never going to work. I had to think of a way of getting the best out of him and making him feel like he could talk to me despite what I'd said in the past. When Logan came to my front door, it was a bit weird, but we instantly had like a laughy, jokey warmth about it. Like, we understand YouTube. Like, people say things sometimes, people overreact, and it was all good. But he had an entourage with him, and I was never going to win him over fully while he was around everyone else. So they went upstairs and he went to the toilet, and I waited, and just as he come out, I was like, right, let's go and have a chat in my room. And I explained, like, I know people have attacked him in the past, and that's not what this is about. The only way we're going to really get anywhere is if we just talk this out. And I allowed him to have full editorial control over the final upload, which means if there was anything in he wasn't happy with, they would remove it, and I would accept that. And I never normally do that, but I knew that the only way I was going to get him to relax is if he felt like he was in control. And when we talked after that, I felt like it was a different Logan to what anyone else had seen after all the controversy. I knew that with someone as sincere and as genuine as I am looking him in the eye, that I wouldn't get the YouTube bullshit version of Logan. I was going to get the real person, and I respected and appreciated the fact that he came prepared to deliver that and let his guard down. And weirdly, because we had problems in the past, we kind of bonded over that experience and sort of let it all go. After starting the podcast, just because I was inspired by Joe Rogan to make something that got that much attention, that many listening to a message about how serious suicide is, was really important to me. When it come to talking to Logan about fighting JJ, I believed Logan a lot more than I ever believed Joe Weller. Like, mentally, I felt no quit at all in him, and I felt I was looking at a man who was a big dude. I did believe Logan could lose the fight, but I didn't think he would be finished. I thought Logan was getting to a decision. He is just so stubborn, such a born winner and a born athlete, that there's no way this kid is going to quit. No chance. When I spoke to JJ, I believed his confidence in having more skill than Logan, because it makes sense. He's been boxing longer. Logan's going to be at the same point JJ was when he fought Joe, realistically. But I just didn't believe JJ would have enough to finish Logan. Logan is just such a big, stubborn motherfucker. I know how much Logan values being number one. If he didn't really believe he was going to at least look good in there, he would never have gotten in the ring. And that was enough to make me think, even without the footage of Logan, the ego of the man is not going to be that bruised. He's not going to leave himself wide open, and therefore he's going to be competent. And with JJ, I believed he had the boxing skill advantage, but I just couldn't see him finishing Logan. And I told everyone around us, this is going to a decision. Friday, August 24th, weigh-in day. Weigh-ins are awkward. You know, you're in a room that isn't big, full of the media, security guards. You now got me on stage introducing you on there. You're then stripping down to your underwear before looking dead in the eye of the guy who's going to be punching you in the face 24 hours later. Mustn't be pleasant. We had a couple of vicious eye-to-eyes. The Nissan Gabe versus Jay Swingler, like they looked like they wanted to rip each other's heads off there. And then Scarce and Raka Raka was a little bit more awkward. It looked like they were going to kiss each other. Like, it's weird. The tension is building throughout every set of fighters who comes out until we get to Jake versus Deji. Jake comes out looking shredded, wearing a chain that's probably more valuable than every penny I've spent in my entire life. Deji, on the other hand, comes out looking like a pudding when he got on stage. Like, I was not encouraged. I was worried for him. And luckily, I seen him hitting pads before the fight, which gave me a lot more confidence than what I had it weighing. Then Logan comes out, and I'm sort of reminded of a podcast I did with Dan Hardy, UFC fighter, who told me about the reptilian state of mind you get in, where it's about beating the other guy, killing, winning. It's psychotic almost, you know. And Logan came out and he reminded me of the Joker. Like, he's enjoying this, like he loves this, and the way he's built, like, for whatever people might think about him having a professional fight one day, the guy's built like a professional fighter. 6'2", long-limbed, muscular, shredded. He looks like he could compete. You do not see guys built like Logan Paul in English schools. You just fucking don't. You don't know, do you? I've never seen anyone in my life built like this guy. JJ comes out, similar reptilian state of mind, like he's unemotional. He's there purely to make you emotional. He's got a mask on of Logan's girlfriend, for Christ's sake. He's doing everything he can to the bitter end to get in Logan's head and to poke at his ego. Logan laughs it off at first, but when they get nose to nose and JJ's trying to talk directly to Logan's girlfriend, that it was bubbling. It was about to go. I'm on that stage, so many security guards, so many entourage, coaches, fighter. Like, this thing's gonna collapse at any point now, let alone with how heavy I am. And I'm just thinking, dude, just don't fucking hit each other, for God's sake. I break it up. We've made it to fight day without any punches thrown, thank God. The day of the fight, I meet Joe Weller. He's on commentary with me this time, so I don't have to be shouting at him while he's in the ring. Like, I'm quite relieved at that, to be honest with you. And I know that me, him and Lawrence, we'll have a good laugh doing commentary together. So I was really relaxed at this point. No nerves. I've got this. I can do this. I think I've overthought it and being like, millions of people are going to watch this. It's one of the biggest combat sporting events of the year. This is your big chance to impress the UFC and people like this. And guess what? It's only a second time commentating a fight ever. I would have shit myself. So I try to just reason it in my head of, I'm just watching me mates having a punch off while I talk about it. It's easier that way. The arena blew me mind. Like, there was people screaming at me for pictures and hugs and autographs, and then it all becomes sort of like real. Like, fuck me, there are people actually sat at home watching these videos. There's not just a number going up randomly. Like, this is all happening around us, and we've gone from watching Joe and Theo in a gym on a laptop while I'm talking to my phone commentating to 20,000 people are going to be watching in this arena while I'm trying to interview the winner of this fight. Once again, I'm not taking it too seriously. You know, I'm chill. It's like that moment on Jurassic Park where the T-Rex's eye just gets a little bit smaller. Like, that's what you feel. The hairs stand up on the back of your neck and everyone's like, it's electric. We sit down, we chill out, Haribo on the desk. We're not allowed alcohol this time, which really pissed me off, and just getting anything like pizza became a nightmare. But I just thought, I've got 4.5 hours to do my absolute best, and let's just go for it, lads. So the first fight's coming out. It wasn't a great fucking start, I'm not gonna lie. And it took a while to get going, but like, there were some funny comedic moments early on, and you could tell each win, regardless, meant so much to all of the boys involved, and you could not be happy for them. The tension just kept building with every fight, and when you've got FaZe Sensei predicting that he's going to win in the 3rd round by a liver shot, and he shouts at me on commentary, I'm calling it now, while he's in the ring, and then goes ahead and does it. Like, those moments were so entertaining. Being a commentator is providing the soundtrack to the epic things people are saying on camera, and I was just trying to give those boys the best soundtrack I could for the best night of their lives. When Gibbo and Jay came out, it felt like, right, we're here now, we're on the final 3 fights, and I know that this is going to be a great fight, because Gibbo is a nightmare, he's non-stop pressure, and Jay is one of the toughest bastards you'll ever meet in your entire life. This is guaranteed fireworks, and it delivered. There was points where I just thought, no way Jay's done. And then he just comes back with some massive punches out of nowhere, and you're like, he's still going, unbelievable. And Gibbo just doesn't let you breathe. Like, he is a fucking nightmare. And then to call out Joe after he's just got done beating Jay, I was like, Jesus, you're thirsty, kid. But then Joe wouldn't back down, straight in his face, screaming, it's on. And I'm like, Joe will never back down. And I had to grab a hold of him and make sure that this didn't end up starting right there and then outside the ring. So the music hits. Bitch, I'm a fucking jammy on. And I'm low key, liking that song. On them speakers, it sounded fucking sick. Jake comes out, all white everything, looking like a character from Mortal Kombat. I don't know what the face masks were necessary for. But yeah, he looked the part and he was acting the part. Deji certainly looked the part as well. That robe was sick, but he wasn't acting as confident. He sort of seemed sort of subdued, and I noticed that at the time. And I was kind of worried. I was like, you're about to go into a fight, mate. Like, you know, start looking like it. But when that bell went, he was in that fight. And he was throwing serious punches. And despite Jake getting the better of the fight, I think Deji surprised everyone, especially me. There was a few times where I thought Jake was going to end that, and Deji just came back and dug deep and made everyone proud, and I was really happy for him. When the towel got thrown in, I thought it was the right call, because he wasn't going to win that fight at that point, and he'd already proven anything he was trying to prove in there. Jake got that moment. He's on the ropes. He's screaming. The crowd, who didn't like Jake, got their moment of seeing him bleeding. Apart from Deji, but that guy never quit. He was still ready to go, and he didn't really lose in anyone's eyes that day. He went from Comedy Shorts Gamer, KSI's little brother, to just Deji. So I get in the ring to interview the boys, and that was the first time I'd been in the ring all night, and it was intense, really intense, but I felt like Jake gave me some good answers before he started plugging his clothing right. Literally, I was like, what the fuck? Like, this guy is a marketing machine. Like, even after he's just been in a fight, he's thinking, website, go to shop, / I'm like, are you joking me right now? Like, most YouTubers forget to do that in their videos. He's just been hit in the face, and that's what he's coming out with. It probably rubbed people up the wrong way at home, because they're wanting an emotional release from Jake, which he kind of gave, but still, the marketing man prevails. And that just shows what kind of guy he is. You either love that or you hate it. I kind of respect it. I wouldn't have done it myself. I then go and interview Deji after first not seeing him, which was a bit awkward. But I wanted him to know he was so valued at that, because it's when you lose, I guess you probably feel like your lowest point. But I wanted to really build him up and let him know how respected he was. It reminded us when I spoke to Joe when he lost the fight. Like, I felt sorry for Joe. Like, you put all this time and energy and effort in, and you've come away with an L. Like, the least you should get when you've fought hard is a round of applause and to be built back up and feel good. And I just wanted to give that to Deji. After leaving the ring and watching that fight, how good Jake was got me thinking about how good Logan could potentially be by this point, and if that's going to be good enough, given what I've seen, to beat JJ. Like, it was my mind, even though I only had like a matter of minutes to wait, like, I'm still thinking, well, what's going to happen? Like trying to work it out, because that is all we'd seen. We hadn't really seen much of Logan. We didn't know what the fuck was going to happen, and that really helped build my anticipation. The lights go out. Logan's on his way to the ring. The answers are going to come within minutes. Who is the better man? Logan's been saying, I have done enough to
literally bury him on August 25th.
All the quotes start ringing in my ears, what these two lads have said to me in a matter of a week ago, how confident they are. I'm like, it's all finally going to happen now. And all the while, I'm trying to give the best commentary I can to keep the audience at home just as excited as I am. In all my past commentaries, we've done the Sidemen charity football matches, Wembley Cups, even the KSI Weller fight. We've took the piss. We've had a laugh. We've had a joke. You know, it was a bit of fun. We didn't really, it's internet, we're all mates, we're taking the piss. But this time, we felt like we had the eyes of the world on us, and these boys were taking it so seriously that we wanted to take it seriously for them and do the best possible job with what limited skills that we have and make it a professional sounding broadcast that they can look back on and be happy with every single aspect of it and not look at it and point the finger at the commentary and say these guys weren't up to the job. And I wanted to make sure that if they were landing punches, I was calling it correctly, so that ultimately, if it did go to a decision, people at home would feel like they knew what had happened accurately as well. I care about YouTube, and I care about how YouTube comes across to the mainstream, and I just wanted to make sure that we had a decent standard on show on every level. Logan comes to the ring, his fucking diss tracks playing, Logan's all black, everything, looking like the ninja from Mortal Kombat again. I like the maverick look of the shorts and gloves and that. The fact that he had like this bird that I think initially started off as his pet, and now it's like his emblem for everything, and it's on his black shorts, and it looked like sick, to be fair. He looked like the bad guy in the movie, and in this arena he was the bad guy. Like, and he said, when everyone's tweeting you, you can't do anything about it. When 20,000 people are booing him,
I get to do something about it. That's gonna be fun.
And the guy looked like he was ready to do something about it. He didn't look scared in the slightest. JJ's entrance music hits. Everything is on point. I could feel that booming through my chest, like the fucking bass in that arena. I love that song, like the way it's almost demonic, like repeating over and over and over again. Everything is on point, like telling Logan, I am going to be perfect when I'm in that ring. You are going to be so fucked. Like, it was a hell of a song, good beat, good idea, and the video set it off. Their ring presence was different. Like, Logan was stalking the ring, looking like he was itching to get going, wanted to fight straight away. He'd been waiting for JJ for a while. It felt like JJ sort of deliberately did that. And then when JJ was in the ring, he was sort of slowly pacing the ring with that mask on, not as anxious, calm, cool. And when he finally did take that mask off, he gave Logan like this sick sort of look, and they believed it. Like, they were putting the last drop of mental edge on each other that they could get before finally punching each other. As the fight started, I'd expected JJ to be more bouncing around, in and out, harder to hit, you know, circling Logan, picking him off, and Logan having some success, but I thought it'd be a bit clearer of who the better boxer was. It fucked me up when Logan just looked more comfortable in there and looked so calm. I thought he'd be a little bit more on edge, a little bit more nervy. After all the mind games JJ had played with him, I don't know if there's any other YouTuber who would have got in there and done what Logan did. Like, most of them would have wanted to run across the ring and play right into JJ's hands, which is kind of what Joe did. Logan stood his ground, picked his shots wisely, outboxed JJ, used those physical advantages, and looked the part. It was an easy opening round for him, actually, and that really shook me, because I didn't not expecting to win the opening round. I just didn't expect it to be fucking easy. I did predict JJ would have more success as the rounds went on, and that's kind of how it went. Another good second round for Logan, even though JJ was trying other things, getting frustrated. Logan just looked so calm and composed. What kind of fucked me up was, like, they were talking to each other a lot, and I didn't think they'd have the confidence to do that, because their skills are not going to be advanced to where you should be talking shit mid-fight. But they couldn't help it. They're such cocky bastards, the pair of them, that they were talking that shit, and it just made so entertaining. It made it so good to watch. It felt after the second round, JJ realised, I've got to fucking do something about this. Like, I can't just let this cunt jab me for the rest of the fight. I need to move. I need to use what skills I've been taught, and he certainly started to do that. He was shifting his weight a lot more. He was moving his head more and trying to come at Logan from different angles, and it worked. And I don't think it was as convincing a win in the third round, but he won the third round, and that was so important for him to build off of confidence-wise. Fourth round, you were seeing Logan getting tired. Moving that massive weight around isn't easy, and those arms, the punches weren't as powerful. He looked like he took the fourth round off a little bit and was just like, I just need to suck wind here and make sure I fucking stay in this fight, because otherwise JJ could have really poured it on at that point and the fight could have gone differently. Coming into the fifth round, it felt like Logan was about to gas. JJ was on the ascendancy, and even as great as Logan had looked early on, it felt like that was going to count for fuck all. JJ was pouring it on, but Logan came out in that fifth round with a second wind, and he started really strong, throwing early on, giving JJ something to worry about, so that JJ couldn't just carry on the pace that he'd been setting and just showing no fear. I'm still here, mate. I'm still fucking here. That round, for me, was the one that turned this from a JJ win into a draw. Without that fight back from Logan, I feel like would have gradually gotten worse for him. He needed that, and he showed a lot of heart in that 5th round, to be fair to him. That 6th round was the most decisive round of the fight, and it was the final round, and it really put the stamp down on who finished the strongest. JJ was all over Logan. Logan didn't land a real punch of significance in that round. His punches had very little behind them. He was exhausted, and credit to him, he did really well to hold on because JJ was lighting him the fuck up. Vidal gets in the ring. Everyone knows that that guy knows fucking boxing. He's already had 2 people win that night. And he puts JJ on his shoulders as if he believes he won the fight, which instantly gives a lift to every JJ fan in there like, well, he must have done. You know what I mean? He finished strong. Vidal's acting like he won the fight. He must have won the fight. But you can tell even on commentary, I'm still not convinced. You know, I'm saying this could be a draw. When I did get in the ring, I noticed Michael Buffer treble checking the decision in his hand. When I first heard the decision was a draw, so many things went through my mind. I felt for JJ. He'd finished that fight so strong that he probably felt like at that point, well, I was winning, you know what I mean? I felt for Logan even because he'd started the fight so strong, and maybe if he'd just been a bit fitter, you know, that would have been his fight. I felt for myself a bit. I mean, it's only natural to think about how this impacts you in that situation, and I'm like, another one of these fights after how good this has been for my career is definitely not a bad thing. If they've got to do another rematch, I mean, I'm into it. I've heard it's going to be in America. I'm in LA in my mind on a beach, living in America. Yeah, back into the ring. The thing that fucked me up the most at that moment was having to go and interview JJ and seeing the shock on JJ's face, and he was so confused, puzzled, not with it at all. And normally at that moment when I go to him, he is full of confidence. Talk the talk, walk the walk, motherfucker. And I did not get that. And his looking like he's seen a ghost attitude freaked me out. And for the first time in God knows how long on camera, I didn't know what to fucking say. I got the first question out, and we seemed to be getting somewhere. And then after that, I was like, this dude, he's shook, and I'm shook because of it. I've got nothing. What do I? Me mind went fucking blank, people. And then when you don't know what to say, the spotlight that's shining down on you gets brighter. The camera feels like it's right in your fucking face. JJ is looking up at me like, what the fuck do you want to ask me? The microphone just seems to be glaring at me like, well, talk into us then, cunt. And I've got nothing. That was about 2 seconds. It felt like about 20 minutes. That was my worst moment on camera in my fucking life. All I could think of was, thank you, family. Like, that was literally the first thing that come to me. And thank God for Deji coming over and giving JJ a hug, because that instantly was an moment that just made most people forget that fuck up I've just dropped in the middle of the world. When I went to Logan, I wanted to reference the past, but also give him credit for hanging on the way he did at the end, and show that, you know, you can make a mistake and still have heart, and build him up. Do you know what I mean? But Logan was quite positive. It felt like JJ was more downbeat about the result than Logan. I think Logan knew JJ was going to be a real force and was happy with how he did generally. He didn't lose. It was his first ever fight. He'd never done that before, and he can take a lot of positives from those early rounds, and he seemed to be feeling better about everything. JJ, I felt a little bit more sad because he was talking about going pro before that fight. He was talking about embarrassing Logan, and while some people might think he beat Logan, it didn't go down the way JJ had really convinced himself it was going to. Whereas I think Logan was a little bit more accepting that he might lose in his mind, and it showed in that post-fight reaction how they'd set themselves up for this. I'm looking around the ring and I'm in awe of what's happened. Like, YouTubers who are just silly young daft lads making silly videos have managed to put on a pay-per-view that numbers the UFC would be delighted with, absolutely over the moon with. And these guys who weren't taken seriously have got in there, have turned up and went to war. So proud of them, and very grateful to them for letting me be a part of it. It just makes you think, if that young lad sat in the living room with his grandma could see us now for the first time, He'd probably be speechless.
Head to call, beat 'em all.